The last guardians have faded into the dust, leaving the city to the silence of the desert. Join us now as we walk these streets today to explore the ghostly skeletons that still refuse to fall, and to listen to the echoes that haunt the wind a century later.
To understand Rhyolite today, you must first understand the journey to get there. The drive north from Las Vegas is a transition through time. You leave behind the neon lights, the traffic jams, and the artificial noise of the 21st century. You drive through the vast emptiness of the Amargosa Valley, where the heat ripples off the tarmac like a mirage. As you turn off Highway 374, the pavement changes. The smooth asphalt gives way to cracked earth and gravel. The hum of the tires changes pitch. You are leaving the present tense and entering the past tense. When you finally stop the car and turn off the engine, the first thing that hits you is not the sight of the ruins, but the sound of the silence. It is a heavy, physical silence. It presses against your ears. In a city, silence is just a pause between noises. Here, silence is the ruler of the kingdom. It has been curing in the sun for 100 years, undisturbed by industrial machinery or human ambition. You step out of the car. The air is dry and smells of sagebrush and baked earth. You look up, and there it is, the skeletal remains of the Queen's City. It doesn't look like a town anymore. It looks like the carcass of a giant beast that laid down to die in the desert and was picked clean by the vultures of time.
The centerpiece of the ruins is, and always has been, the John S. Cook & Co. Bank. Even in death, it commands respect. Walking towards it, you feel small. It stands 3 stories tall against the blinding blue sky, a concrete shell that refuses to kneel. The Italian marble stairs that once welcomed millionaires are gone, stripped away decades ago. The stained glass skylights that filtered the harsh sun into soft rainbows are long shattered. What remains is the raw anatomy of the building. You can see the iron rebar protruding from the eroding concrete like the ribs of a skeleton.
You step through the gaping hole where the mahogany doors used to be. You are standing in the lobby. Once, this room echoed with the sounds of commerce, the scratching of pens, the counting of gold coins, the whispers of investment. Now the floor is covered in a deep drift of sand. A tumbleweed rests against the far wall, trapped in a corner. If you close your eyes, you can almost feel the phantom energy of 1907. But when you open them, you see only the graffiti of time. The plaster has fallen away, revealing the brickwork beneath. The basement, where the vault was kept, is a dark pit filled with rubble. It is a cathedral dedicated to the god of nothingness. It is a monument that says, "We built this to last forever, and we were wrong." Walking further down Golden Street, the experience becomes surreal. You pass the Porter Brothers store. It was the place to buy the finest goods from San Francisco. Now it is just a front wall. The side walls and the roof are gone. It looks like a Hollywood prop, a 2-dimensional cutout propped up against the 3-dimensional mountains. Sunlight passes through the windows, but there is no room behind them to catch the light. It is a window to nowhere. Then there is the Overbury Building. Once the tallest office building in the district, it is now a study in precarious balance. Modern engineers have installed wooden braces to keep the crumbling walls from toppling over. It is a strange sight, new yellow lumber holding up old gray stone. It is a desperate attempt to freeze the collapse, to pause the inevitable decay for just a few more years. You touch the stone. It is hot to the touch. It feels rough, like sandpaper. This stone was quarried from the nearby hills, shaped into a square, and placed here by human hands. Now, slowly, grain by grain, it is returning to the shape of the hill. The cycle is closing. Further out,
Separated from the main cluster of ruins stands the Rhyolite schoolhouse. It is built of concrete, solid and imposing. It looks less like a ruin and more like a fortress. This is where the children of the boomtown learned their arithmetic and history. They learned that Rhyolite was the future. They learned that gold was the foundation of the world. Walking around the schoolhouse today is a haunting experience. The playground is overgrown with creosote bushes. The laughter is gone. The bell is gone. But there is a heaviness here that is different from the bank. The bank represents lost money. The school represents lost potential. If you stand here when the wind blows from the north, it whistles through the empty classrooms with a high-pitched sound. Some visitors say it sounds like children whispering. Others say it's just the wind. But in Rhyolite, the line between the wind and the ghosts is very thin.
No visit to a ghost town is complete without visiting its own ghost town, the cemetery. The Rhyolite Cemetery lies a bit further out, a patch of desert that looks almost identical to the rest, except for the mounds of dirt and the wooden markers. Here lie the people who didn't make it to the train, the miners who died in rock falls, the women who died in childbirth, the men who were shot in the disputes over claim boundaries. Most of the wooden headstones are blank now. The paint has peeled away and the sand has scoured the names off the wood. They are anonymous graves. Unknown miner. Unknown child. Standing here, you realize the true cost of the boom. These people gave their lives for the city. They are the foundation that the city was built upon. And now they are the only permanent residents. They are the ones who truly stayed. The silence here is respectful. Even the wind seems to drop to a whisper as it passes over the sunken graves. Returning to the main town, you notice something strange. Not all the ruins are real. Rhyolite has lived a second life as a movie set. In the 1920s and onwards, Hollywood directors realized that Rhyolite was the perfect backdrop for westerns and post-apocalyptic films. Why build a fake ruin when a real one is free? You might see a caboose near the train station that looks old, but it was actually a prop left behind. You might see a wall that doesn't quite match the architecture of 1907. These are the layers of fiction on top of the layers of history. And then there is the art. Just south of the ruins lies the Goldwell Open Air Museum. Here, in the 1980s, a Belgian artist created a sculpture called The Last Supper. It consists of ghostly, life-sized figures arranged behind a table. But there are no bodies inside the robes. They are just hollow shapes of white plaster, draped like shrouds. Seeing these white ghosts against the brown desert backdrop is a jarring, surreal experience. They look like the spirits of the town, finally made visible. They sit eternally waiting for a meal that will never come, just as the investors waited for the dividends that never came. But amidst all the concrete skeletons and ghostly art, one structure stands defiant: the Tom Kelly Bottle House. It is the only building in Rhyolite that feels alive. Restored by Paramount Pictures in 1925 and maintained by caretakers since, it is the jewel of the ruins. You walk up to the chain-link fence that now protects it. The house is small, humble, and incredibly beautiful. The 50,000 beer and medicine bottles that Kelly mortared together are still there. In the harsh afternoon light, the house glitters. It sparkles. The bank, built of expensive stone, is dead. But this house, built of trash, built of the discarded refuse of a drinking town, has survived. It is a profound irony. The fragile glass proved to be stronger than the granite. Why? Because it was built with care, by one man's hands, not by a corporation's greed. It wasn't built to make money. It was built to be a home. You can imagine Tom Kelly sitting on that porch, watching the town collapse, knowing that his glass fortress would outlast them all.
As the afternoon wears on, the light begins to change. This is the golden hour, the time when photographers flock to Rhyolite. The low sun turns the gray concrete of the bank into gold. For a brief moment, the city looks rich again. The shadows stretch long across the valley floor, hiding the piles of rubble and highlighting the standing walls. You watch the other visitors. They are quiet. They move slowly. A couple from Germany is reading a guidebook. A photographer from Japan is setting up a tripod. A family from Ohio is teaching their children about the gold rush. Rhyolite has become a place of pilgrimage. People come here to touch the mortality of civilization. In a world of glass skyscrapers and digital money, Rhyolite is a physical reminder that everything ends. It is a memento mori on a municipal scale.
Most tourists leave when the sun goes down. They drive back to the comfort of their air-conditioned hotels in Beatty. But if you stay, if you wait until the true dark falls, Rhyolite transforms again. The desert night is absolute. There is no light pollution here. The stars cloak the sky in a density that seems impossible to city eyes. The Milky Way arches over the broken spine of the Cook Bank. This is when the city truly belongs to the ghosts. The wind changes. It cools down rapidly. The coyotes begin to sing from the hills, a yipping, howling chorus that echoes off the canyon walls. You stand in the darkness and you listen. You hear the creaking of the wood in the train depot. You hear the rustle of a lizard in the dry grass. And if you listen hard enough, beneath the wind, beneath the coyotes, you can hear the echo of the past. The strike of a pickaxe, the cheer of a gambler, the whistle of a train, the scratch of a pen in a ledger. The energy of 10,000 lives was poured into this valley. Physics tells us that energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. Where did that human energy go? Did it evaporate? Or did it soak into the ground, waiting for someone to come and feel it? It is time to leave. You cannot stay in Rhyolite. It is not a place for the living. You walk back to your car. The sound of your footsteps is loud on the gravel. You open the car door, and the interior light floods the darkness, breaking the spell. You sit in the driver's seat and look back one last time. The ruins are already disappearing into the shadows. The bank is just a jagged line against the stars. The schoolhouse is swallowed by the blackness. Only the bottle house catches a reflection of the moonlight, a tiny spark in the void. You start the engine. You turn on the headlights. The beams cut through the dust. You drive away, leaving the silence behind. But you know that the silence isn't empty. It is full of memories. It is holding the story safe until the next traveler arrives. Rhyolite isn't gone. It is simply waiting.